And so even now I am negotiating what I share with my parents. I don't expect them to be able to fully see me. And that's the work that I have to do now, is like, just because my parents can't accept all of me doesn't mean I don't get to be all of me. And that is like that's like, right, the course correction is like, I went all the way to like, no, you must see and accept and love all of me, to like, we got the basics down. You know, like the fact that my mom and dad know that I pole dance, like huge, right? Huge. Like, you don't need to know the nitty gritty of what else I do with my time, or like, you know.
That's enough. Yeah. Welcome to Another Way Through, a podcast featuring stories of folks who used to trade their authenticity for safety and acceptance, and have found their way to lives filled with greater peace, joy, and freedom. These stories will remind you and affirm for you that if you're thinking of following that inner voice telling you that there's something bigger out there for you, even if it's a little bit scary, that there's another way through for you too. Let's get into the episode. I'm so excited to be here. It is officially my first episode with a guest, and I'm so honored that it's you. Welcome, Shivani. I want to tell a quick little anecdote, and then we'll get into more of why this is the case. But when I was talking to Matrix, who is producing this podcast, about this podcast, and I was telling him it's going to be called Another Way Through, and I want to feature stories of people who have made decisions that maybe weren't always the easiest and found their way to the other side. They found a way to joy and peace and happiness and lives that feel just like more like them, as opposed to doing what they traditionally were taught to do and kind of staying on that road. I told him about you. And I told him about my, like, meeting you and what it felt like to be so honored to be invited to your wedding.
Yeah.
And so we'll get into it. But I just wanted to say that it's just like a fun full circle moment. You're one of my dearest, closest friends. Yeah. And I'm so honored that you would join me. So welcome.
Thank you for having me. There's been a lot of full circle moments throughout our friendship. And even today, like I said earlier today, like doing this, coming back from a school, and that being a part of my journey as a teacher, and meeting you like the night before, like our first hang was like the night before you quit your job, which was, I don't know if
I forgot that.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Oh my, that's like really what I've been thinking about recently, is like, we hung out for the first time the night before you were ready to quit your job. And it was so like, okay, I think I found the right person to spend time with, for so many reasons. There was a lot of things that happened that night, but I had felt so much guilt and shame around quitting my job, which we'll get into mid-year as a teacher, to then find someone who was like I've been like wanting more people to just quit their jobs, like just join me and quit. And then you were like, I'm already ready. Yeah.
Come on through to the other side.
Yeah. And I was like, I'm so excited to see what you do with that time, because I know how much it meant to me and what it meant for my life to be able to quit something and like affirmatively say no more. That I was like, this is going to be a fun friendship.
Choose something different for yourself. Yeah. Okay. So let's get into it. Yeah. We can talk. I think it's really a fun journey to talk through, like what it was like when we met and some of the things that came up during almost 3 years ago that we met. Yeah. So let's talk about where you were during that time. So Shiv and I met through the pole community. We are proud pole dancers. Yes. And I remember I came up to you, I had like seen you, and I was like, she's a cool girl. She's cute. She's really friendly. And I was like, hi, do you want to be my friend? I was like, do you want to hang out? And then we did. But tell me a little bit more about where you were in that time. I guess I just like, it's been a blur, but I can't remember that I was quitting my job right before. But when you talk about having left something behind that perhaps maybe you thought you were supposed to be doing, and then you decided to quit in a way that was, I'm going to do something that is actually for me. Can you just talk to us a little bit about what that was like for you?
When we met.
But like leading up to it, and like, what did you quit? And then what are you doing?
Yeah.
That feels more aligned.
Great. Okay. So I'll start where we met. We met at the pole studio. And that was, I want to say like sometime in the winter of my first year in LA. And so I had quit my teaching job in 2022. can't remember now. 2021.
It's all been a blur.
Yeah, and it was like it was April of the school year, and I knew I was going to move to LA that summer. I had planned to go to UCLA. I hadn't gotten accepted yet, but my plan was to move to LA regardless.
You were just manifesting it. You knew it was going to happen.
Yeah, so much so that I like booked ticket. Like I came to visit LA for 2 weeks before I even got accepted to UCLA, and I found out 2 days before I got on the plane that I'd gotten into UCLA.
Gosh, chills. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And it was so funny because I think I was telling my therapist or something. So I was telling somebody and they were like, you were going to go to LA and you didn't know if you got in. Like, what if you found out while you were in LA that you didn't get in?
And
I
was
was
a nice trip.
Yeah. And I was like, to be honest, there was no world that I wasn't leaving New York and moving to LA because I just needed to get out of New York. I'm from New York. I've lived there my whole life. I always say something just like didn't click for me in New York. Couldn't do winter. Seasonal depression hit hard. And I'm sure we'll talk more about this, but I was teaching full time. I was a special education teacher in New York City. It was my 5th year teaching. And I mean, I think I was dealt like a particular set of cards. My first 2 years, I was in grad school and teaching at the same time. The next 3 years was pandemic. And so there was like no situation in which like teaching was going to feel really like free for me at that moment. And for a number of other reasons that like teaching and I just didn't work out. But so I quit my job, and I had spent 6 months traveling. And just like,
Tell us more. Where did you go?
I'm like, where do we even start? So if we start, okay, so I had booked the trip to LA, came to LA for 2 weeks, saw what my life could be like.
Glimpse of the future.
It really was. It was just, there were a lot of environmental factors. Like quality of life is just really different in LA compared to New York City. For me, like sensory stuff, the subway, it being loud, people always in your face. Like I just couldn't handle it. I wanted a climate controlled car, you know? I like want to be stuck on the 405.
Have some doors closed around you.
Yeah, and so I had a great time in LA, and I came back, and I told my therapist, and I was like, I want to quit. And she was like, yeah, I know, but we're going to, like, make it through to the end of the year.
Work our way towards that.
And I was like, no, I'm not going back. Like, I took the 2 weeks off. I'm not going to work on Monday. Like, I simply cannot do this anymore. Like, I have felt what my body feels like when I'm not teaching, when I'm not anxious, when I'm choosing things for myself, and I can't go back. And she was like, all right, let's figure this out. I didn't go back to work that Monday.
Wow.
And it took me some time to like figure out how to like officially quit. But I didn't go back to school April mid-year, which is like, yeah.
It's a big deal.
Yeah.
Right?
Teachers don't do that. Teachers don't leave in the middle of the year. And any teacher who watches this is going to be like,
how could you do that?
How could you do that to the kids? You know?
Of course.
And
I think we talk a lot about all things, but also, you know, I think it causes some inconvenience, I'm sure, for the children and for the adults involved. And like with parents, like I'm sure that kids can also feel if an adult, even a teacher, has no desire to be there or is burning themselves out or is just not well.
Yeah.
And is teaching them. Do you feel that?
Absolutely.
Was the case for your
Absolutely. I was going to go back and I was not going to be the best version of myself. And that was a disservice to everybody. And especially a disservice to the kids. And I had moments before I left that I was like, burnout is right there around the corner.
Yeah, you saw it.
Yeah. And like burnout when you're a teacher looks like getting into an argument with a 12-year-old, you know? Like that was not going to be the way I was going down.
Yeah,
you
you weren't going to go there.
No. So I was like, I could see, and I've seen adults in that position. I've seen teachers get into those kinds of altercations with children. And I was like, we're not I
didn't want to even let it get to that point.
No. So
so you mentioned a full circle moment for today, and you are not a teacher anymore, but you are still very much supporting teachers and advancing education. Can you talk to us a little bit about that and what that full circle moment was?
So fast forward 5 years. I am getting my PhD at UCLA.
Congratulations.
Thank
you manifested that.
I really did. Yeah. And yes. And one of the things that was really important to me when I started this journey was that like a lot of times folks in academia leave the classroom or have never stepped foot in the classroom.
Fair.
And we pontificate about learning behind ivory doors, and none of that work ever ends up in classrooms because it's not applicable to classrooms, because that research and that theory building is not happening in classrooms.
It's too far removed.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you have a lot of folks doing research in labs or in settings that look nothing like a classroom looks like, and then we hand teachers like toolkits and expect them, and they don't work. And so a lot of my research is about teacher development, and it is happening alongside teachers who I've known now for 2 years. Relationships were really important to me. And so I'm helping them. Well, I support them, but I am in their classrooms once or twice a week. And we are tag teaming it together. We're thinking about what needs to be done. These are special education classrooms. But it was really a full circle moment because I haven't like taught in a classroom for 3-4 years now. And I was visiting one of my teachers today, and she was struggling with some expectation setting and some consistency and routines. And one of the ways that you can support teachers is by modeling what it should look like.
Yeah.
Which I think is difficult to do, but it is easier when you have a good relationship with the teacher. And so we had talked about what to do, and then the kids came back, and I was like, you know what? Let me try something. And I just like sat at the front of the classroom and I did my thing, and like it worked to the best that it can work when students don't know you that well. But it was very full circle because I was, I didn't leave the classroom because I wasn't a good teacher. If I do say so myself, I was a great teacher. And that's what made me burn out, was that I was like so invested in this work that it took all of me. And so full circle was great to be able to step into the classroom, to do something meaningful with students, with a colleague of mine, and then to be like, my work here is done. I'm going to go hang out with my friend and talk about,
be on a podcast.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. And that was really like healing for me, that I still get to do work that I love in a way that feels good to me.
Yeah. What did that feel like for you in your, in your body? Or tell us more of like what, because a lot of what this show is about is actually giving maybe what you said, like modeling, right? Like what does it actually look like to perhaps make the difficult decision or set the boundary or believe that you are worthy of feeling and experiencing something different than what you have. And so I'm just curious, like with this one example, and we'll get into more, what it was like, what felt different today versus being in classrooms before.
That's a great question. So I think what felt so great about today was that I was able to channel the teacher in me. There's like, so when you're a teacher, you kind of, it's so spiritual. You have to believe that students are going to do what you ask them to do before they do it. And it is like a stepping out onto the ledge moment, because like you have no idea if they're going to do what you ask them to do. And like in the teacher world, setting an expectation, not following through or not having students follow that expectation is like the crumbling of the ecosystem. Because we do create these very strange ecosystems in schools where teachers are the leader and students have to follow. And if you can't embody that leadership and students don't follow, then like the relationship is, the crack forms and it starts to fall apart. And so I had to embody this like absurd confidence. I don't know these students. I don't know these adults. I don't know what they're supposed to be learning, but I'm going to stand in front of you and I'm going to tell you what to do, and you're going to listen. And not only are you going to listen, but you're going to be glad that I'm setting boundaries for you. And that was really difficult for me when I was a teacher. Boundaries were drawn in sand. They were always negotiable, and they had to be. We've talked a lot about our childhood, but I wasn't allowed to set boundaries as a kid, and I wasn't allowed to hold firm to them. And so today, walking into a room and being like, we're all going to sit on the rug and we're going to keep our hands to ourselves and we're going to keep our like voices low, and you're going to do that because I've asked you to do that, and like feel very strongly that that's what's about to happen, was like, woo, still got it.
Not only do you still got it, but it sounds like the work that you've done as a human, and it's like this saying of wherever you go, there you are, right? If you have no boundaries and you have no practice at that, and you don't feel like you're safe to do so and set them and hold them, and that's been modeled for you in other aspects of your life, then how are you going to do that? Kids can, especially kids, I think can read that energy.
Absolutely. And it's a lot. And what I was talking to the teacher that I work with about was like, she was saying she feels really insecure about her boundaries. And that's exactly how I felt too, is like, I didn't think or feel that I was allowed to have boundaries. And so anytime somebody pushed them, I was like, oh, maybe that was
You're
the
right.
wrong. You're right.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you like? You 5-year-old, tell me what you would like to do today.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, let's renegotiate that.
Yeah.
So maybe shifting gears a little bit, but if you could tell us more then about that journey, and start wherever you'd like, but from maybe not having much practice or sense of safety, or that it's okay for you to set boundaries. Like, what is that journey, the Shiv that used to have really, you said they were like sand and they just, versus now, I wouldn't call them, I know you, so I wouldn't call them like rigid, but firm and loving boundaries. Like, what has that journey looked like for you, and what have you done to get to this point?
Yeah. You know that Ariana Grande song, Break Up With Your Boyfriend? It's break up with your parents. That is what's constantly playing in my head. And anytime I meet somebody who hasn't broken up with their parents, I'm like, break up with your, like, love my parents.
Yeah, absolutely.
Love them.
It's amicable.
Yeah.
Can be.
Yeah. Maybe. And also I think like that has been the like other way that I've found, is that like I get to have broken up with my parents and still we have a beautiful, loving, healthy, working towards healthy relationship, you know? But and we talk about this, like trading acceptance or trading authenticity for acceptance was the way I learned how to be. And everything I did was negotiating my own boundaries to be accepted. And that started with my parents. It started with my family. And figuring out, it was very much trial and error. What does it feel like to do the thing that makes me feel like a bad person? So I had been trained that like if you disobey, if you don't follow social rules, X, Y, and Z, whatever like society's expectations or my interpretation of society's expectations, if you don't do those things, you're a bad person. Not only are you a bad person, but people won't love you anymore and you'll be ostracized. You'll be kicked out of society, kicked out of our family, whatever. So it's very like this panopticon type of control. And so like experimenting with like, you know what, I'm actually not going to come to that family event. I'm not going to pick up your phone call. I'm not going to allow you to talk to me this way. I'm actually going to affirmatively say, I'm not going to see you until X, Y, and Z happens. It was a roller coaster. It was a roller coaster. Shout out to my therapist and my wife.
Both.
Yeah. Who like witnessed a lot of screaming, like a lot of just like really difficult conversations, a lot of dark moments for myself. I recently told my sister that like, while I was reasserting my sense of self with my family, I didn't know if I would have a family after. And I think I like had to be okay with that because what was at stake was far greater.
Yeah, yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whew. Take a moment.
Yeah.
It was so powerful. I think it's funny. We have lots to talk about here. We're going to get into it, and I want to talk about therapist and wife as well. But, you know, when I was starting my coaching business, one of the things that I felt was preventing me from, you know, starting my coaching business, which shout out to me 2 years ago, almost to the day, yesterday. My first thing was that I put a post on Instagram that said, I'm a coach.
Yeah.
I've been working with clients now for almost 2 years, but I'm now officially telling the world that I'm doing that. And as I was building my social presence, one of the things that the coach that I was working with at the time kind of called out was, are there people or, set of people that maybe are preventing you from showing up fully? And I was like, I think, my mom and dad, if they see this, I'm gonna, I just, in this world that, our generation luckily has these kind of an openness to this conversation, also access to how human psychology works, how child development works, and how that in people that taught us to be a human, like they don't even have to still be telling us that the voice is already in there. It's internalized, right? So it wasn't that they were gonna, I don't know what I thought was gonna happen, but I was always sort of thinking about, well, what if they do see this, or if I say something that even indicates that they did, and she was like, just block them.
Yeah.
And I was like, what?
Yeah.
I was like, what do you mean? Block
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
And sure enough, I did. My mom didn't speak to me for like 2 weeks, but
Yeah.
then, you know, we're good now. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, working towards healthy
Mm-hmm.
as well. So I'm curious, you mentioned like obviously where those kind of, if I do X, then I will be ostracized. You mentioned a little bit about, you know, some of those conversations, but what else kind of supported you on that journey to actually assert, like, even if the outcome could be that because most people don't choose that. I think especially in the society, people are like, family, that's one thing you don't touch. So what do you think allowed you to have the strength or the inner, I don't know, that allowed you to say, no, I'm going to choose myself, even if it means that's the worst case scenario?
Yeah. So I met my therapist in like 2017. I had graduated college in 2015. I was living in New York City. I just started teaching. I was making a lot of bad choices and my relationships were a mess. I had moved in with my ex after we broke up.
Oh, wow.
Right.
We can talk about that another time.
Right.
If you want.
Like, and was also dating somebody new. Like, who, why,
Okay.
you know?
Yeah, interesting. Yeah.
Interesting. A lot of interesting choices were happening. I think I had, part of me was just like, I was also so depressed. I was actually just so sad in a way that, like, I had experienced depression before. I had experienced like social anxiety or like just general anxiety, but I was like, it was low. And I found a therapist, you know, still with her today. And I think it took, and she'd probably say something different, but I think it took a little while, but eventually I was just like, look, fix me, like, help me, you know? My therapist and I talk about this a lot. Like, people don't change until like what they're doing isn't working for them anymore. And like, it just wasn't working anymore. Like, I had many, many lives that I was living. One was the one that I was safe to show my parents. One was the one I showed my friends. There was another one at work. There was another one like when I was meeting new people. And I was just so splintered and so fragmented. Yeah. But I was also very functional. I had a great job. You know, I had hobbies. I was going to the gym. I was meal prepping. Like, nobody would, you know, and like, sure, you drink and you smoke, but like nothing would alarm anybody. And I was so practiced at like being the daughter that didn't need help.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was always the kid who like held the family together, you know, and held my, like, never had if you ask my mom, she's like, oh, she was happy.
Yeah,
she never had any problems.
Yeah, she was a great kid.
Yeah. And so I think something in me was just like, it cannot be this. Like, this is not the life that I imagined for myself.
Yeah.
I imagined a Bollywood movie, you know, and there was no singing and dancing. And so, yeah, it was a deep sadness and humility for like, I actually don't have it all. And my therapist would argue that like, I didn't actually give her the power that I'm saying I did at this moment, but you know, she was willing to work with me until I could, trust. Yeah.
Well, I think we met, I don't even know what year it was. I don't know, probably 3 years ago, 2 years ago. And my experience of you is one that is very integrated. Obviously, I don't know what's going on in your inner world, but I can only imagine that it feels far less splintered, far less split in all of these different ways, and that you're showing up more as Shivani, yourself, in more environments and maybe every single day. Yeah. Trying that on. Do you think that that's true? Does it feel that way?
Yeah, it is like my deepest desire, goal. Like, I think that's the other thing is like when you're young 20-something-year-olds, your idea of like what the future looks like is so intangible. You have no idea what to imagine. Like, sure, maybe it's a job that you love and it's friends that are great and it's like, it's all these ideas, but you don't really know how to imagine what that feels like. And so in searching for like my ideal life, I thought it would be this like, I don't even know, like Bollywood, like this dramatic, like exciting, like everything feels so like chaotic. And what it has been is actually like everything is very calm and balanced and nourishing, and like really meaningful experiences are the ones where I get to be myself and I can show up as all of me, where like
Yeah.
those 7 versions that couldn't be get to all be in the same, exist all at the same time. We were just talking about this in the car. Like, I get to be the antisocial, you know, like hermit crab. You would never know because I haven't stopped talking. But then in 5 minutes, I can like decide that I want to, you know, and so being able to move through my multiple personalities with ease and with like care for myself.
Yeah. And you don't have to perform and force something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to tell a little bit of story from my perspective. And I love, because knowing you now, I know there was a whole lot of backstory that led to this moment. But I feel so honored that I was invited to your wedding. I think we'd known each other maybe a year at that point.
Yeah.
So I guess it's 2 years.
Yeah.
And I I remember just viscerally feeling like, wow, this is what joy feels like. Like, this is what real love looks like, right? Not forced traditions, not, oh, you've got to invite this such and such acquaintance of your parent. Like, it was truly a celebration of love, a celebration of you and Maya.
Yeah.
Shout out Maya. And I hope I could say her name.
Yeah.
Okay. I was like, what?
All good.
And I, you know, it was a queer celebration that just felt so, so joyous. And me and my own queerness, it was so beautiful to witness and be around all of that. And your family was there. The family that, you know, you chose to invite was there. And your chosen family, right? And I feel so honored to be a part of that.
Yeah.
And I remember it was in Sedona. It was beautiful and such a, you know, special place. And so that was just a really important moment for me as well. So thank you. And what I know about you, what I know to be true, is that was a long journey for you to get to the point from, and you can maybe start it where you want, but like I know from maybe even coming out to your family to that moment. Yeah. Whoa. Like, and so what are some of the moments along that journey that really stood out to you as either turning points or like courageous things that you had to do to like will that day into existence?
Yeah. I'm going to do something really dramatic first. And I'm going to look at the camera and I'm going to say it is 2025 and I am the only out person on both sides of my family. And that brings me to tears because I know I'm not the only queer person. Mm-hmm. And I'm not mad at like the people before me who didn't or who couldn't. I am blown away at everybody else whose like commitment to living in some version of a 60s in India that also like British colonial, like I don't even know what world they're living in, but it's not this one, you know? And that is such an excuse at the same time because it's 2025 and all of you live where you do. Like, I think that's such a narrative that's pushed, especially in Indian communities and upper caste Indian communities that like, oh, my mom is from a village in India. She couldn't possibly understand. Too much, right? And I'm mad at my community. I'm mad, especially like Indian upper caste immigrants who allow our families to continue to be so backwards. Because it's not just queerness. It's casteism, it's racism, it's classism, it's all the things. And then we love to use these narratives of colonialism. Like if the British didn't come in and, you know, didn't fuck us up, then we wouldn't. And maybe, abso-fucking-lutely.
It's complex, but that's not the only,
And so get it together. But yeah, I am the first and only out person in my family, both sides. I have a huge family. If you invited us all, there'd be 300 people there, right? Yeah. And the 300 that were not invited to my Sedona wedding. And that was like, it was funny because even as I was planning this wedding, after having done 9 years of work with my parents, and they had agreed to support me and financially support me for the wedding, which we talk about sometimes financial support requires then. And so they were trying to control it. And they were like, well, you have to invite this.
Yeah.
And I was
I have a list.
In what world would I invite these people who probably don't want to be there also? And if they do, are going to make me feel like you have not been a part of my life at all. When I needed you the most, you were not there. And I think about this a lot with now I have nieces and nephews who are queer. I'm sure, like, everybody is, you know?
Everybody's a little bit.
Right. And even if it's not queerness, if your mom or dad is acting funny and you're in my life, I'm, as a teacher, as an adult in a child's life, like, I'm going to affirm that. I'm going to tell you, like, your mom's acting funny, and if you need support, I'm here. And then I'm going to go talk to your mom. Like, that's what family does. And I think in my family, it was mom's the word. Yeah. It was, well, we'll wait till they figure that out, and then we'll, you know, and I think they were trying to, in their mind, they were trying to help. They were, I think in their mind, family, we don't air out our dirty laundry.
Yeah, we keep that.
You keep that in.
A secret.
But as a 16-year-old, as a 22-year-old, I was just like begging to be seen by my family, to be loved, for anyone, cousin, aunt, uncle, anyone, to just say like, hey, this is hard what you're going through, and I love you, and I'm so proud of you. And I didn't get that. Most of the time anyone came to say anything to me, it was, this is hard for your parents. Whew. Give them time. Imagine like telling that to a 16-year-old, give them time. These are grown ass people. Yeah. Like, I get it. Sure, it takes time for people to, especially for parents, to grieve who they thought you were. And to then grow to know and to love who you actually are. And this is where it gets complicated, because I think a lot of people maybe don't necessarily think about that when they're having kids, that you are going to need to love who they are and not who you want them to be. Yeah. And I don't think my parents were loved for who they are.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I think all they've wanted is that as well. So that's that. But yeah, so I came out when I was, after I graduated. So I waited till they finished paying for my college. Thank you. And then I was financially independent, and I was like, all right, here it goes. And it was awful. It was really, it was, you know, it was tears. It was, are you sure? Yeah. And then they had known who I was dating at the time, and they didn't know that person was my partner, and they were like, you know, it's that person's fault. Like, you know?
Yeah. You ruined our daughter.
Yeah. And then it was like kind of 2 years of being silent about it, because like it was so upsetting to all of us to talk about it. And that was really tough. That's when I started going to therapy. It's when I was teaching, and I was just like, really all aspects of my life were like so chaotic as I was trying to figure out how to be a whole person. I was teaching in schools that did not allow for me to be a whole person. Queerness as a teacher was still very, like 10 years ago, was still really difficult, especially in Brownsville, Brooklyn. Like, I'm surrounded by Caribbean families who like don't want a gay person teaching their child. I was the only queer person in the school that I was teaching. Schools are very carceral places. As someone who was coming out and understanding queerness as a politic, I felt very like constrained with what I could do or how I could be in those schools, how to move through those schools. And then at the same time, my family is like hoping, praying to God that I am not actually gay, you know. Came out to them again, went through all of that again.
Yeah, still.
It like was 3 or 4 times that I had to keep reminding them.
Wow.
To then fast forward to Maya coming into my life 6 years ago. And I said, this time, like, we're going to do it differently. Like, we're not going to do this thing where I, like, go to the principal and tell them I'm gay again, and they're, like, upset. Because it had affected my relationships, you know. It's very hard to be with somebody. And this is not like a PSA, everybody come out. But it,
everyone, it's your own journey.
It's still
do what's right for you.
Yeah. It's still really hard to date somebody who's not out.
Yeah, absolutely. They can't be who they are everywhere.
Yeah. And then like I have to hide who you are, and you're meeting my parents, but you're pretending to be my like
yours. Yeah.
Right. And you're pretending to be my friend, and nobody thinks we're friends, you know?
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm not doing that to Maya. Thank God I chose that, because I probably would have lost another one.
Yeah.
And I told my mom, I was like, there's someone important that I want you to meet. We FaceTimed, and She was in a different place, I think. And my dad like walked out of the camera. You know, he like would not engage with it. But that was 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And it was not easy after that. It was touch and go the whole time.
It was a journey, yeah.
It was, my parents' biggest thing was that they kept saying like, we accept you. We just don't want everyone to know. Like,
okay.
Just don't broadcast it.
Keep it to your, like, only tell us.
Yeah.
No one
like,
else.
They kept saying don't broadcast it. And
Okay.
I'm like,
yeah, that'd be.
what does that mean?
Yeah,
like,
that'd
do you
be
think
too much.
Right. Like, do you think I'm just gonna like announce it on my Facebook status and like maybe I will.
Yeah, I might. But yeah. But also, why not?
Right. And now in retrospect, I realize like, yeah, of course my family has been through this before. Of course there are people that are queer before me, and they've been taught to either completely closet themselves and divorce their sense of self or leave.
Yeah.
Leave the family and don't come back.
That stuff really, it really matters, right? I think some people are not as brave, right? Some people are not as courageous. And whether they are or not, that's not a judgment. Whether they are or they not, they see the reaction that you're getting and that you're receiving. And it's like, whoa, I heard of this, you know, it could be like, oh, I'm about to, I don't know, get my ears pierced, jump off a thing. And I see this other person flailing around. Do you think I'm about to just go do it? I was already scared.
Right.
And now I see what my cousin or my sister or whatever is going through.
Right.
Absolutely not. And that's definitely been not in the same way, but in a different way that I spoke up about something that I was very scared to speak up about. My family freaked the fuck out.
Right.
And I know for a fact now, years later, that, you know, other people experienced similar things. And they were like, I talk about it when I was 10 and they didn't speak about it until they were like 28.
Right.
Because they couldn't.
Right.
And no wonder, right? And so let's maybe fast forward in the story. That was like now, you know, you experience something a bit different, with Maya and your family.
Yeah.
What is that like for you now?
Yeah. I mean, the wedding was a huge turning point.
Yeah.
I think I told you this, but like I didn't know how it was going to go. Like there was a parallel universe where my dad was really unhappy still, and he would ruin that for me. Instead, I got him drunk.
He was dancing. He was on the dance floor. So
he was having a great time.
Yeah,
I
think they both had a good time.
Star of the show. They took honestly, my friends were like, "You didn't tell us your parents were so fun."
Talk about Bollywood movie.
Right.
I must say.
Right.
We had a dance break. Let's just say a few.
Yeah. And then like true Bollywood fashion, the next night, I don't think I was stoned, but I went to go see my parents. And honestly, thank God I was, because I would not be able to handle this if I wasn't. And they were like sitting in their, it was the cutest thing. They were sitting in their bed in their hotel room. And my mom was like, okay, like I won't do the accent because this is going on the internet. So you don't get that. But she's like, I have a list of questions. So she had her list of questions prepared. She was like, is so-and-so she, they, or he? Are so-and-so together?
She wrote this down.
Yeah. Or so-and-so. Because so-and-so, they both look like she's.
I mean, it looked like it went.
And she was just like, you know, it was the queerest thing they've ever seen.
Yeah.
They had never seen they'd never seen trans people. I mean, of course they have, but like they had never interacted. A friend of mine had like wept to them and said like, thank you so much for coming. And my dad was like, why was she crying? And I was like, well, Dad, some parents don't accept their kids. And my dad was like, you know, and they had like had all these funny interactions with my gay ass friends. And I think they felt, even at the wedding, my mom was like, you guys are so free.
Yes.
I
felt it too.
Yeah, my girls
mama.
were.
Yes, we were.
Everybody's twerking. Everybody was like having a great time, and she had never seen social acceptance in that kind of way, where everybody got to show up exactly as they wanted to and had a great time and did not care.
It's palpable. You could feel it.
Yeah.
You don't even have to know that person to know that's them.
Yeah.
They really showing up as themselves.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so after their list of questions, my mom said, you know, she apologized. She was like, it took us a long time and we're sorry. And my dad was like silent, was like,
Sorry, what she said. I agree.
And that's why I was so glad I was, because like, I was like, you know what? And I like could have said so many things in that moment. And I just said, you're here now.
Shiv.
Yeah. And they are, and I am. And like, it is not easy. Maya and I are thinking about having kids, and I mean, we are going to have kids, and I know that it's going to be similar. A lot of my life I've done by myself and then invited my parents into, and I've had what that journey has been, even with the wedding, is like, you are invited and you are expected to show up a certain way, and if you can't show up that way, then you're no longer invited. And it's going to be the same thing with my kids, and my IVF journey is like, I'm doing this. If you want to be a part of it, you are so welcome. And it happened with the wedding too. You know, there was some money. Thank you, parents, for the money. But there was some like, if you're going to have our money, you need to. And I absolutely not.
Yeah, we're not doing that. No,
we're not doing that. And I think during the wedding was when my mom is the rational one. She's the one that, like, you know, she can hear me when I'm talking to her. And she knows that I will leave.
Yeah.
And thank God I have parents that want me in their lives, because a lot of parents, if you are gay, we don't want you in our life. And that is heartbreaking. But my mom, we had very clear conversations, and cultural differences meant that it didn't come out in words the way I'm telling you now, but with my body and my actions and my boundaries, the line was very clear that I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want to do. And I love you. And my actions are not to hurt you. And they are not to disgrace you or dishonor you. They are to find happiness and joy, which you say you immigrated here to do.
You do want. Yeah.
You do want me to be happy, whether you realize that or not. Like, I know that's what you want from me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so they showed up. And they had a great time.
I saw.
And I think it was very healing for them, because even through all the bullshit, like, I think their deep, dark fear was that I would be ostracized, that I would be cast out, that people would look at me and be disgusted by me. And they saw.
It's the exact opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it blew their mind. My dad was, like, shocked that I didn't, like, buy everybody's hotel room. It's like a very Indian thing to, like, pay people to come to your event kind of thing. And I was like, no, my friends, they saved. And they came,
willingly.
Yeah.
They found their way there.
Yeah. And they are like, I mean, Maya and I are so grateful for our family, because we both come from difficult family situations, and we've made chosen family, and we really feel like not everybody has that.
Yeah.
And our family showed up, and they show up in the way that they can, and there are no, like, blood ties that bind you to be there, but you're still there.
So beautiful. So powerful. I was, like I said, deeply honored to be a part of that. And I think the lesson that I want to pull out, and I'm curious, you can help me if you want to respond to this, but even with what you're saying about the guests not needing to be, paid for their accommodations, and you desiring to have your family in your life, so long as you still get to be yourself. It's not, I have to choose being in this family or myself. It's, I desire both.
Yeah.
And you've created a life such that you get both. Yeah. And that's exactly what this whole podcast is about, is people not choosing anything over themselves, keeping themselves and getting what they desire.
Yeah.
I think that perhaps, commenting on our parents' generations, they didn't get that same luxury. They never pushed past that maybe ceiling that was, okay, well, I can be accepted up into this point. And beyond that point, I won't go any further. And I'm going to just stay, and this is the size of my existence. And then they see us, and it's, I don't think it's, to your point, that they thought you might be cast aside, and then they were probably relieved to see. But it's also probably very confronting for them that they didn't find their way through to the other side. Do you get that sense at all?
Yeah. And that, we've talked about this. It is hard, because now we're, like, kind of all adults. I'd like to say I'm an adult now.
You are.
Thank you. And I can see that part of what is difficult for my parents is that I continuously push.
Yeah.
And that I don't settle, and that I'm not afraid. After Maya proposed to me, I, like, dropped it in the family group chat, and my mother, that was a whole other fight, because my grandmother's on that group chat.
Wow.
All the uncles, all the aunties.
Oh, the big family group
Sure
chat.
did.
Not the
No.
four. Yeah, got it.
I said, we're in, because like, that's where the announcements
Yeah, exactly. Celebration.
Right. So this is also part of the lesson is like a lot of what was told to me was that like I don't have the cultural relationship with my parents where I can just sit them down and be like, I'm gay, get over it. And that's not what it was. Like, and that's not the message I have for like younger queers. It's like, it's not, you could do it and you should, but it's not going to work, right? Like we don't have that kind of, it is a constant negotiation. And so even now I am negotiating what I share with my parents. I don't expect them to be able to fully see me. And that's the work that I have to do now is like, just because my parents can't accept all of me doesn't mean I don't get to be all of me. And that is like that's like, right, the course correction is like, I went all the way to like, no, you must see and accept and love all of me, to like, we got the basics down. You know, like the fact that my mom and dad know that I pole dance, like huge, right? Huge. Like you don't need to know the nitty gritty of what else I do with my time or like, you know.
That's enough. Yeah.
Yeah, I forget what your question was.
It's okay because I want to take it there.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm like on my little card. You know, that's the last point that I want to make sure we get to.
Yeah.
We came together. Yeah. You, my bisexual bestie.
Yeah.
Shout out Michelle. Just gonna shout you out on here. Oh gosh, I have to shout everyone out. I love you all.
I love all bisexuals.
I love all of you. Bisexuals. We came together in a pole studio.
Yeah.
And I know it's a big part of your life,
Huge.
Of our lives.
Yep.
Can you tell the people a little bit about what pole has meant to you, what that looks like, how it helps you be more Shivani?
Oh God, I love pole. Also another thing that like walked into my life, like the best things have just walked into my life. And huge life lesson is to be able to receive, you know, when they come to you. So we talked about this. I am a survivor of sexual assault and various other body traumas, and my body has not been a safe place for me, and I'm still learning that. That was like in your breath work last week, that was what was coming up a lot for me, is like my body is not safe, or like that was the message that I had been taught intergenerationally and then had experienced. And so healing that relationship to my body, and specifically that my body is safe when I'm around other people, because the only time that my body felt safe was when I was alone. And so pole has been this incredible experience where I am surrounded by fierce, strong as hell, independent, quirky, wild women and everything in between. But like fierce feminine energy had been really important to me, that I was not raised with a sense of power around femininity, that like you can be both strong and beautiful and feminine. And I wasn't taught to like deal with men. I just like, nobody taught me how to handle unwanted attention. And if I got unwanted attention, it was my fault. And so pole was this place that I got to invite attention affirmatively. And I got to consent to when I was experienced in this hypersexualized way. And we talk about it too, like a lot of times it's not sexualized. I mean, to me, pole is inherently sexy, and I love that about pole. But a lot of times we're all in there in our underwear, and we're like, oh yeah, move your left. Like we're just, you know.
We can see everything, but it's not about that.
Yeah. And then I get to be like, all right, I'm going to perform for you, you know. And I'm received in that way. That has been so healing for me, is to have a group of girls. First of all, having a group of girls. If you don't have a girl gang, like... Thank God for the girls.
We are very blessed.
We are so blessed. But like, I feel like it's so seamless for me to be like, I would like to be seen as a sexy goddess now. Please receive me. Or when I was teaching yoga, I was like, now I'm a yoga teacher. Like whatever I want to be, the girls are like, sure, girl, go ahead. You know?
Yeah, we really ride for each other. It's good.
Yeah. So that has been,
Yeah, and we do talk a lot also about the history of the... Oh gosh, what do we call it? I don't want to even call it a sport, right?
The art form.
The art form. Thank you very much.
The labor.
Yeah, that, you know, has its origins in clubs. Black women primarily invented it in the way that we now know it. And these pole studios are teaching us in ways that are just different, right? And it isn't a place of survival. And I think that there is something that is so powerful about, and we talk very frequently about walking and towing that line between celebration and honoring its history and origin and, taking it and appropriating it or anything like that. And the fact that we do have the privilege to engage in this art form in this way, in a safe way, and we're big advocates for everyone being able to do so in a safe way and not only from a place of survival where that male gaze actually is present, right? What power we have and privilege we have in being able to engage in something that is seen as so stigmatized and so taboo in a way where we're surrounded by people that understand it and celebrate us and support us. I'm just curious because I know you have so much to say about this.
Yeah, and I'm still working to articulate it. Like,
as am I. That was my first time saying it out loud.
So I liked
bear with me.
No, and we're always, to be academic, like kind of building our own theory around it and for ourselves. But something that attracted to me. So I think when I've lived my whole life on the margins, in the margins, let's say, right? Like whether it's marginalized from my family or being in, when my family came to the U.S., relationships, India, U.S. were different, whatever. Part of what my sense of self, what feels really good to me now, sometimes when I choose it, is that disacceptance. Like I actually enjoy that rupture of like, I'm actually not just the good girl that's getting her PhD. I'm the good girl that's getting her PhD in pole. Like that's also what I do.
Dissertation.
And so like, I hate on the gentrification of pole because I'm like, you're ruining it for me. Like, I don't want pole ballet. I want pole strip. Come on.
I do not want pole to be so accepted in this way.
I really don't. It's so funny to me. And I have a hard time articulating it because, like, I'll get in these conversations with some of the girls, too, where they're like, oh, don't worry. You don't look like it's hard to talk about this at work. And they're like, oh, but it's different now. Like, people won't think you're, and I'm like, I want them to think I'm stripped. I mean, I could never be, but I would love,
I would be so honored.
I'd be so honored if you thought I was a stripper. Because I really need that. Like, my queerness is about being on the margins. It's about being a disruptor. It's about, like, to me, even as an academic, like, to me, being forward thinking is not being in the box. Like, if you're in the box, you simply cannot think outside of it. So, like, having that edge to me is so, having that rebellious, like, just kind of is like so important to me. And also I think there's a part of me that's always going to be like some people know at school that I pole and some people don't, and like
now they all know.
Good, you're right. But it's been a constant, I've talked about this, but when I perform I'm like, okay, ass is about to be on the internet, how do we feel about it? And apparently we feel good.
We feel great. We tried it out.
We feel good. Yeah. So I think that's like part of also the like full circle moment is like I still get to I get to choose when I'm not accepted, and it gets to feel really good to not be accepted.
Oof. I'm gonna sit with that one because that's like kind of percolating my brain a little bit. I love it. But I just want to say thank you. And I have watched your journey on the pole and outside of it. I think we have such a special relationship and friendship that I'm so grateful for and honored. We can talk about everything. Like, we chit chat and it's silly, and we, do the girly stuff, and we talk about really, really deep. If I have something that I'm really going through, you are one of the people that I know I can call and that can, really be there for me because of all of the deep work that I know that you've done on yourself. And so I just thank you. Being here. Thank you for being here, being my first guest. And my final question is, knowing that this is all for everyone that is really on their healing journey, but I think as we continue, as you mentioned, to break out of that box and to keep going and to keep elevating or expanding, there are going to still be moments, even if you've done the big coming out or the big, I made this choice to quit my job or I made this choice to move across the country. There's still always going to be times where you choose yourself over what maybe people would expect of you or the accepted path. And so any kind of final thoughts or words of wisdom for people that are navigating choices like that?
Yeah. I think I will echo what's the word? I'll quote you back to you. I think you once said to me, like, what's the alternative? Like, if I don't choose myself in this moment, I'm choosing someone, like, to sit with, like, I've now chosen someone else over myself. Like, is that what I'm willing to do? And I think my wife, my future kids, like, there are certain people that, like, yeah, I'm going to choose you over me, and there will be consequences. And so, like, being very clear about when you're willing to do that and for who and for what, to what end has
and
been,
maybe
like,
for how long,
right? Yeah.
Not
yeah.
always, maybe.
Right. Has been such a guiding compass for me. Yeah.
What's the alternative?
What's the
honestly?
alternative?
Yeah. You are worth it.
Yeah.
Right? You're worth choosing. And
Absolutely.
you have to be the one to affirm that over and over and over again, especially with a history of not doing it. It's still in there, right?
Yeah.
Those little parts, the little Shiv that
Yeah.
picked up that it wasn't okay. She's like, oh, okay, maybe we're good now. And then there might be another time where you're like, oh,
Yeah.
I knew it. I knew one day again. So to see you, the big Shiv, the full Shiv, like, choose her every time, choose you every time.
Yeah.
It's powerful. So.
And the last thing I'll say is that, like, life is big, life is fun, and life gets to be those things. And if that is not how you're experiencing your day to day, like, within all of the, you know, if you have access to fun and joy, like, pursue that at all costs, you know?
Absolutely. It is definitely worth it.
Yeah.
It is a big part of living.
Yeah.
Right. Well, thank you so much for being here. I am going to invite folks to subscribe to this podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Definitely on YouTube, and follow me at Tap Into Your Wellspring on Instagram. Do you have anything? I don't know if you want to keep in touch with the people. You don't have to. Don't feel obligated.
Oh my God. I know. I'm like, should I like pitch my PhD research?
Yeah,
Probably not.
I don't know. Just look out for Dr. Shivani
Dr.
later.
Shiv, yeah,
no,
I got nothing. Yeah, I got nothing. But this was so wonderful.
Yeah.
And thank you for having me. And
course.
all the queer Indians, reach out. I will guide you.
Yeah. She's here for you. Even just a big sister. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you. Love you.
Love you.
That's it.
Bye.
Bye.